Have you ever thought, wow, I've really created a low context environment and culture in my business? Hey, it's Scott Beebe with the Business on Purpose podcast, liberating you from the chaos of working in your business. mybusinessonpurpose.com/vision. Now, that question that I start out with, on the last podcast, I talked about a quote. You can have control, you can have growth, but you cannot have both. On this episode, the same business owner that I was speaking with brought up this terminology that I'd never heard before. Low context environment, a low context environment. And I stopped him and I said, whoa, back up. Put the car in reverse. I want to understand what you're talking about as it relates to this low context environment. I'd never heard of that before. And this particular business owner has done business around the world, so he's been exposed to contexts that are around the world. And he's been exposed to ideologies, he's been exposed to conference rooms all around the world. And he said what's interesting is a lot of times in more Eastern cultures, more Eastern and Middle Eastern cultures, they tend to live in more what's called a high context culture. And he said, I don't want to weird you out with this when I say this, but essentially it's almost like you can feel the room. Now, I think in a Western culture, we might refer to that as intuition. I didn't go deep into that. And I want to be very careful that I'm not inserting concepts that are not meant to be there. But I just kind of got the sense from the description that there was a lot of intuition involved. And what this business owner meant was, we live in a low context culture, which means it's as if we need to process out every step. And I'm certainly guilty of that, 100%. Almost a badge of honor for me, quite honestly, to be able to process things out step by step by step. Now, part of that I think is personality, but part of it is also cultural bias. When I go into a Nigerian culture, many of you know we do a lot of work in Nigeria and have a lot of friends in Nigeria. When I go into a Nigerian culture, that is very much not a systematic step-by-step culture. In fact, sometimes it can be extraordinarily frustrating, and for a while, in my own naivety and my own ignorance, I actually thought it was a downfall of the culture. Now, are they missing out on opportunities? Yes, but in the same vein, we are missing out on opportunities for things that they value deeply, like relationships. I'll never forget one of my friends who we did work with over there. She would wake up every day, her and her family would go greet everybody on their street every day. I think of that as Western American and think, my goodness, that would be exhausting. Such a high relational culture. And so I want you to think about the culture of your business. Is it a low context environment or is it a high context environment? Now, many of you, because of the simplicity and the ease of just being able to kind of give up mentally, are going to say, I think we're more of a high context culture. Well, some of you, the reason you're going to say that is because you think it gets you off the hook from developing system and process, implementing those and training them with great replication. The reality is it doesn't matter where your business is at around the world. Systems need documentation, training, and repetition. The question is, in a high context culture, are the people who are inheriting those systems, do they have a level of intuition where they can, as this business owner put, kind of feel the air? And they feel the air so that when they get into situations, they can maneuver. My buddy and I, Jarek, we're coaching football. Well, he's the head coach. I'm just kind of helping out. And as we're going through and trying to place kids in certain positions and all of that, we don't do daddy ball. We don't kind of get dads to come in here and sell us on their kids or anything like that. What we do is we look at skill set, we look at effort, we look at ability to understand plays, but we also look at the ability to articulate in the moment, to intuit, to basically, when something collapses, that they've got an intuition to do something else. And we've got to look at that. We've got to see how quick they are to react to a level of intuition, this high context mind versus a low context mind. A low context mind, and neither are good or neither are bad, by the way. A low context mind is a mind that needs extraordinary process and system detailed out. But when they've got that, my goodness, they'll nail it. A high context mind is somebody who has maybe a higher level of intuition and can just kind of feel it, but they struggle with process. Neither are good, neither are bad. My question for you is, the culture that you've built, the bias that you have as the heroic small business owner of your particular small business, is it more prone to high context, intuition, just kind of feeling the air? Is it more prone to low context, drawn out systems and processes? And how do you merge both? That's probably the $1 million question. Well, first place you start, obviously, is your vision story. 2 to 6 pages of detailed snapshot of the future of your business. If you do not have one as a small business owner, you have got to start there. And we provide it completely for free, step by step, right there for you. mybusinessonpurpose.com/vision. You can get started there. And we'll continue to think this out. High context, low context. What are you? Where do you fit? What's the culture of your business, and what does that look like? I just want to tell you thank you. Thank you for investing your time in growing and getting better. And thank you for your desire to be liberated from chaos and for helping others to do the same. We'll see you next time, right here on the Business on Purpose podcast.